The collective identity of the Chinese people is partly the result of a civilization that for several thousand years has been built on agriculture. The Chinese have also been deeply affected by the teachings of Confucianism, which emphasizes the importance of extended families and interdependent relationships. This manifests itself in Chinese business operations. In 1979, China implemented a one-child policy as an attempt to curb the growing concern over population. This formalized policy was a response to the already growing trends and governmental controls being put into place and was further mandated in a law in 2002. From this, policy gives birth to a whole new group of Chinese and culture. Essentially, the one-child policy was to encourage families, especially those in urban settings, to only have one child, and rewards were given if the family chose to stick to one child. Because of this, male children were preferred over female. This resulted in female children finding their way into orphanages across China. Foreigners seeking to adopt found loving girls ready to be whisked away with their new families. This led to the birth of the subculture of adopted Chinese daughters. Global issues and concerns can be seen in the recent action taken by Shuangwei International. This is China's biggest pork producer, and they have agreed to acquire Smithfield's Foods for about $4.72 billion to boost supplies for the nation that is the biggest consumer of meat. The takeover of Smithfield's Foods is valued at $7.1 billion, which would make it the largest Chinese takeover of a U.S. company. The deal is likely to face scrutiny by the Committee of Foreign Investments in the U.S. due to questions being asked about the safety of the country's food supply.
China's middle class is growing at an alarming rate. Because of this, businesses in both domestic and international markets are seeing an enormous increase in sales. This new emerging middle class, ages 20 to 50, makes about $17,000 to $35,000 annually. Their age indicates a big emphasis on what type of consumer products and services that are in demand. By 2020, it is predicted that China's middle class would consume a value of $3.4 trillion. This is 24% of the GDP in consumer products and services. With the growing number of people's mistrust of the government, Chinese consumers are looking into Western goods, services, and food to meet their demands.
In China, people absolutely love their fast food, giving China its title of being the largest franchise market in the world. Yum Brands Inc. is the owner of the leading chain KFC, which has more than 4,200 stores in the country, more than twice than that of McDonald's and other fast food brands. Because of this, most of these food outlets are company-owned or are associated with joint ventures with the local companies. However, this has increased the number of franchise now that China has established a standardized franchising regulation in 2005. These franchises give the Chinese consumers the opportunity to become entrepreneurs. China's technology and communication infrastructure has been increasing tremendously in both production and management. In 2012, the China's 12-year plan was approved. The main goal of this plan is to increase the production and efficiency of the research and development infrastructures. As one of the biggest manufacturers of electronic goods, China is on a fast track to inventing and adapting new technological innovation, like being the first in the world to use Internet Protocol version 6. Everything in China is geared to setting the bar for the next generation of technology and communication. The Great Firewall of China is the Internet censorship shield against website and web content that pose a threat to China and its citizens. The Great Firewall blocks politically sensitive news, political activism sites, illegal contents, pornography, select Google searches, select Wikipedia pages, and foreign information. The content of an advertisement should be conducive to the physical and mental health of the people, as well as promote the quality of commodities and service, protect the legitimate rights and interests of the consumers, be in compliance with the social morality and personal ethics, and safeguard the dignity and interests of the state. With the current economy, foreign and private investors are desperately trying to find a way into China's growing market. When doing business in China, many people forget that China is a socialist country and that all aspects of its market is solely controlled by the government. The only way to enter the market is to accept that China is only acting within its own interests. With this in mind, there are many business structures used to enter the market, such as Sino-foreign equity joint ventures, wholly foreign-owned enterprises, cooperative joint ventures, partnerships, representative office, and branches. Many foreign companies think that they could enter the market and capture 1% without any consideration to the changes in China. Although most companies like Google and eBay prefer to just pull out of China, leaving their shares to other companies, it is important to understand why such exit strategies are needed. Even now, foreign companies are in desperate need of exit strategies when they find out that hacking is a highly used method in China. For many years, China is relentlessly hacking into foreign companies and stealing intellectual properties despite their so-called patent laws. These laws are of very low quality and is used mostly for the purpose of enhancing the country's economy, meaning that even with the patents, local companies can still use the ill-gotten intellectual properties.
Business people from foreign countries, such as the United States and Europe, may have a hard time conducting business in China due to many cultural and business factors. Businessmen and women must understand the cultural differences and the appropriate way to address them. There are a few ground rules you must follow when doing business in China, particularly Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Beijing. It is vital that when you are working on a business deal, you are punctual, formal, direct, and respectful of ceremony, hierarchy, and seniority. Face, mians. The concept of face is equivalent to a person's social status and reputation. Throughout a person's life, they must maintain a good standing of face by receiving and giving face. You may give face by opening the elevator doors to someone after signing a multi-million-dollar contract. To cause someone to lose face through public humiliation or other means is a huge dishonor. This could mean the end of your business relationship with your Chinese counterpart. Connections, guanzi. Connections in relationships is analogous to the exchanging of favors. In other words, I'll scratch your back if you scratch my back. It is similar to networking. In Chinese business culture, establishing these connections is essential and may determine the success of your business. It is important to understand that these social exchanges and favors need to be repaid at a greater value. That's why relationships between friends and family, as well as business associates, are all interwoven and interconnected. The most fundamental business practice in China is the exchanging of business cards. This process should be taken seriously. You should already have a business card printed with your information in English on one side and its Chinese translation on the other side. If you fail to offer your business card, the perception is that you don't want to further your relationship with your colleague, or that you don't have any status or ranking of any kind. Use both of your hands and carefully hand over your business card with respect. When you receive a business card, treat it with the same respect and take the time to analyze it. Then, line up the cards in order of seniority and ranking on the table. Understanding hierarchy and age in a business environment will be essential in conducting business in China. At meetings and banquets, the most senior guest or the oldest person is introduced first and is seated in the position of honor immediately to the right of the host. The most senior guest or oldest person generally sits in the center of the negotiating table, facing the door. Chinese companies have a lot of success when it comes to working with foreign companies, but there has also been conflicts. Language barriers, cultural differences, and stereotypes may cause unwanted conflicts when working in diverse settings. Many companies have reported frustration and confusion when working with the Chinese. This frustration and confusion can often lead to poor performance, so it's important for all companies to prepare their employees with training to prevent this. In addition to poor performance, conflicts can lead to severed business relationships, mistrust, lack of cooperation, stress, and high turnover rates. Chinese employers use various strategies to deal with conflict, such as integrating, insisting on one's own solution, compromising, yield to authority, avoidance, dissolving the relationship, and third-party approach. Different motivations in companies determine what conflict solution is utilized. Chinese companies prepare their employees by having them attend trainings. China is developing its own business ethics code. The U.S. places a lot of emphasis on corporate culture and responsibility, represented by U.S. companies being the world's most ethical companies. Managers must understand how global companies like Citigroup have been successful abroad, how their companies can integrate into the global economy, what their clients abroad would expect of them, and what the global standards are. McDonaldization is when a culture possesses the characteristics of a fast food restaurant, and it contains 4 parts: efficiency, calculability, predictability, and control. This came from McDonald's continued success expanding in Southeast Asian countries. The uniforms are standardized, the drive-through and delivery option promotes efficiency, the same serving size of every product promotes calculability, the layout of the menu in store shows predictability, and food regulations exhibit control. Now, China has adopted this concept as a doctrine in their business structure to promote standardization, resulting in economic efficiency.
China is the largest exporter and the second largest importer in the world. In just a couple of years, China was able to become trading partners with not only the United States and major Asian countries, but also with countries that have large amounts of natural resources, like Brazil and India. Currently, China is planning to slowly transition themselves from a producing economy into a consumer economy, despite the cost of foreign investors. According to the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report from 2012 to 2013, China is ranked 29th out of 144 other countries, 3 places below their 2011 ranking of 26th place. Although they went down in ranking, China's gross domestic product is at $7.3 trillion with a growth rate of 9.3%, accounting for 14.3% share of the world's total. China is the world's second largest economy. Providing for 1.3 billion people has caused China to look for alternative ways to increase their economic stability. China is globally investing in research in high technological fields such as alternative fuels, biotechnology, natural resources, and raw materials like iron, soy, and oil. There are concerns about China overinvesting, but with little domestic market competition, China has the resources to continue with their plan of economic domination. Beijing has one of the busiest airports in the world. Terminal 3 of the Beijing International Airport is a vital architectural structure that has had an important impact on the country's business world. This terminal became fully operated in 2008 when Air China, Shanghai Airlines, and other Star Alliance members came together. It is one of the most environmentally sustainable airport buildings in the world. Another important structure is the Beijing South Railway Station in the Fengtai district. This station covers almost 500,000 square meters. It has 13 platforms and 24 arrival and departure lines. This station serves as an inner-city express rail between Beijing and Tianjin. The airport terminal and railway station are significant to China's business world because they bring China people from all over the world. These visitors bring business deals, consumerism, and much more. Businessmen and women travel through to form relationships and make deals with the Chinese. Both the station and the airport terminal are vital to China's business because they provide a necessity, which is transportation.